Evans lifts it through in the goal mouth. The header! Goal! There it is! Billy Stroud! Billy Stroud with a fantastic goal! Roy Evans again. An extraordinary goal by Billy Stroud, who may have just given the Philadelphia Adams the North American Soccer League Championship. It's 2-0, and the clock running, showing 4:20 left.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Something New. This is Soccer Rewind, a channel where we take a fresh look at the old. We'll show you complete vintage American soccer matches and talk to the people who lived them. My name's Ken Tomash. I'm a soccer historian, longtime broadcaster, sometimes front office type. And if you love retro and the history of American soccer as much as I do, this could be the channel for you. We'll have more later on how you can get involved. So why do this? You can find lots of old soccer matches on the internet. We can just throw up full broadcasts of old matches and say, have at it. But the passage of time gives us a unique opportunity to see them through the lens of time, put them in historical context, not just about what was happening at the time they were played, but what was the impact? What long-term effects did the matches and teams and players and coaches have on the rich history of the sport here? What happened next? That's the aim, to put the retro in retrospective. So every week, hopefully, we'll bring you a new match and we'll talk to someone who lived it or was connected to it. Maybe a coach, might be a player, might be a writer, historian, a broadcaster. And we'll give you tidbits of information to make the experience much more than just, here's a game, give us 2 hours of your life. We're going to start this journey with the oldest match in our library, the 1973 North American Soccer League final between the expansion Philadelphia Adams and the Dallas Tornado. It was played on August 25th, 1973 at Texas Stadium in Irving. Now, just to set the scene for you, 1973 was a tumultuous year in American history. The Vietnam War came to an official but not psychological end. There was conflict in the Middle East, which led late that year to an oil embargo that quadrupled gas prices. The Supreme Court handed down its ruling in the case of Roe v. Wade. The televised Watergate hearings dominated that summer, and though we didn't know it at the time, when this game was played, the presidency of Richard Nixon had less than a year left. 1973 was also the year of Elvis Presley's Aloha from Hawaii, of Skylab, the opening of the World Trade Center, of Secretariat, Nolan Ryan's 2 no-hitters in 2 months, and O.J. Simpson's 2,000-yard season. It was also the year the very first handheld cell phone call took place. The first text wouldn't be sent for nearly another 20 years. So to give us some perspective on the 1973 NASL title match, we turn now to historian, Philadelphian, my friend, maybe yours, Steve Holroyd. Steve, welcome to Soccer Rewind. You're making history, my friend. Whether it's the right kind of history or not remains to be seen.
Well, thanks. It's good to be here, Ken. And that's an interesting phrase because a lot of that can probably apply to the Philadelphia Adams themselves. So
you're right. Now, why is this one match played more than 50 years ago, not even nationally televised, between two teams that don't exist anymore, still significant enough that we are still talking about it today?
I guess it represents lots of things. It was like the first peak of the peak of the pre-Pele North American Soccer League. It also, I've long said, it's a good example of a missed opportunity in that the league had genuine momentum. Americans were making a significant contribution for the first time, and you'd think it would be the beginning of a smooth glide path to full-blown success and Americanization and everything else. Instead, it wound up being a mere hiccup, and again, a good example of what could have been, but yet wasn't.
Now, these teams, the Adams and the Tornado, are both very culturally significant, but for very different reasons. Dallas was an original club, and by original, for this conversation, we know is 1967. They'd won the NASL title in 1971. They were looking to become the first two-time champion of the league, and before they ever played a league match, they went on a world tour. They played 45 matches in 20 countries over 7 months with exactly one American player in the lineup. They won 10 of the 45 matches. And they were owned by Lamar Hunt, an American soccer icon, who also figures prominently in the birth of the Adams. For those who don't know, you're an Adams devotee. Tell us the story of how Lamar Hunt basically gave birth to the Philadelphia Adams.
It was Lamar Hunt showing why he was a shrewd businessman. He knew when to take advantage of an opportunity. There was a Philadelphia construction magnate named Todd McCloskey who wanted very much to become an NFL owner. He apparently had a successful bid on the Eagles at one point until word got out that he found out what the other side was bidding ahead of time, and so the courts canceled the deal and someone else got to buy the team. But he still wanted to get in, And more important, he wanted to go see the Super Bowl in 1973, but he couldn't get a ticket. So he reached out to Lamar Hunt, who he knew from trying to get into the NFL the first time around, and said, "Hey, do you have a couple tickets for the game?" And Lamar Hunt said, "I might." Tom, have you ever thought about owning a soccer team? The NASL, having rebounded from its collapse in 1968, was always looking to expand, was always happy to get back into a prime market like Philadelphia. And McCloskey seemed like a good owner to have, someone who would be willing to buy a team. McCloskey, for his part, was willing to take the hint, and for $25,000 became the proud owner of the Philadelphia franchise in the North American Soccer League.
Now, you mentioned $25,000 down. The Adams only had a few months between the awarding of the franchise in January of 1973 and their first match, but they were a hit from the jump. They drew almost $22,000 for that first match at home at the Vet. While they didn't hit that number again that season, they did lead the league in attendance, and they only lost 2 games all year. How did they pull that off?
Largely out of luck, and where naivete sometimes comes in handy. So McCloskey gets the franchise in January, knows he has to start in May, and has no soccer background. He initially hired Bo Rogers to be his general manager, who would later impact another team in NASL greatly. Rogers hired Al Miller, a college soccer coach, American-born, because all these guys, all they knew was, how did you build a team? Well, you went to college to find a coach, and you went to colleges to find players. So that worked in that. Whereas other teams might have hired some English guy and brought in nothing but English imports, these folks assumed, well, you build it through the college ranks. So they hired Al Miller. They focused on the college draft, drafted Bob Rigby, a very talented goalkeeper out of East Stroudsburg. In the second round, they drafted Bobby Smith, a big goal scorer out of Rider University. Philadelphia had a great local semi-pro program, so they were able to pull players out of that league. They were able to pull players who had played at Penn, other Philadelphia colleges. Stan Startzel out of Penn, brought them into the fold, and then went to England and just added a couple English players. And it just wound up being a good mix. I mean, Miller knew how to coach Americans. The Americans bought in, happy to have an opportunity to play, and they really kind of caught lightning in a bottle. The only team that made any effort to play Americans in any kind of with any kind of numbers was St. Louis, the St. Louis Stars, fittingly because St. Louis was Soccer Town, USA, at least as far as colleges went. But they hadn't had a lot of success. I think they got to the finals in 72, but lost to the Cosmos, but otherwise very mediocre. So Americans just didn't get a chance. They were always being told they weren't ready. You weren't there yet. Miller, being an American-born player and coach himself, just didn't buy into that. So he was happy to run his guys out there. And again, he had a good mix. He brought over some solid third division English pros, just enough to complement. And it was a mix that worked, but it was substantial because Americans weren't playing at the time. That said, 1973 wound up being the year of the American because, whether by luck of the draw or otherwise, other teams around the league found Americans making significant contributions for the first time, including Dallas Tornado with a draft pick from 1972 named Carl Rowe Jr.
That's right, and we will talk about Carl Rowe in a moment. On the other sideline from Miller, you had Ron Newman, legendary coach, would go on to win titles indoors and work long enough to actually coach in Major League Soccer at its launch. As we look at it now, we have 2 Hall of Fame coaches matching wits in this game, but one of them a little bit shorthanded, and that's because there was some gamesmanship involved in this, which made things interesting. Because as the host team, Dallas, because they had the most points in the league, they got to host the championship match, and they also got to determine the date of the game, if you can believe that, looking back on it more than 50 years later. They deliberately chose a date that kneecapped the Adams. Tell us about that.
Yes, the Adams, the concept that American soccer fans may not remember, but we older folks do, is the concept of a loan player. A lot of these NASL teams would bring over players from England, usually third division players, on loan. They would play the season in America and then go home. That's what the Adams did with a number of with their 5 core English players, 2 of whom were Andy Proven and Jim Fryer, their 2 top scorers. Proven had 11 goals. I think Fryer had 8. The 2 worked very well together. And they came from Southport, a team that had recently been promoted from the 4th to the 3rd division. What Dallas knew was that the English season started, I think, a week earlier than it was originally intended to, and Southport was insisting these two guys come home to be with the team for the season opener. They weren't willing to let them come home late, and Dallas knew that, hey, we can pick a date that will cost the Adams their two best scorers. In fact, it could have also cost them their best defender, but Chris Dunleavy, the third Southport player, he was on suspension for violent fouls in the previous English season, so he was allowed to stay. In a way, Dallas may have outsmarted themselves because they also cost themselves two players, including one who was a fairly decent scorer, a guy named Richie Reynolds. But I think they were willing to play the odds. They still had a guy named Ilya Nidich. They still had Kyle Rote Jr. And they thought, hey, we'll make out on this deal. We'll cost the Adams their two best players.
So then what did Al Miller do to kind of make up for that with his team shorthanded in his lineup?
Well, he had to improvise. I mean, he didn't. It's not like they had a reserve team. It's not like he had anyone else who was really going to fit the bill. I mean, the Adams scored 29 goals that year, and Fryatt and Proven had 18 of them. So he worked with what he had. He had Charlie Ducilli, a Philadelphia kid who had come off the bench. He'd been a starter earlier in the season. He was traditionally a forward, at least. In fact, I think he led the American Soccer League in scoring the year or two previously. But he also took a kid named Billy Straub, who was a defender, who had gone to Penn University and was a mid-season pickup from the Montreal Olympique. Am I doing that right? Olympique de Montreal. And said, you're going to play forward today. I think the theory being Straub had some height. He could replace Fryatt. Of the two, Fryatt was really strong in the air, got a lot of goals with headers. So I think the hope was Ducilli will play the Proven part, the skitter bug, move the ball around, move the space player, and Straub will be the target man, hopefully getting his head on a couple crosses.
So the stage is set for this one here on Soccer Rewind. Now, I will warn you, fair warning, the first 9+ minutes of this broadcast don't exist. That happens sometimes. We want to bring you the entire game broadcast whenever we can. The recording of this simply doesn't exist those first several minutes. And there are some spots where the video feed cuts out. It's the best we can do. For some reason, also, the first half ends abruptly with about a minute left. Apologies, but that's what we've got to work with today. Also, we want to bring you the game as the Philadelphia TV audience saw it, with commercials and replays and graphics. But what you will see here is the game as it was recorded in the production truck at Texas Stadium, and not the final feed as it aired that night. The farther you go back in the archives, the more dicey sometimes video gets. Please bear with us. Enjoy the first half. From Texas Stadium on August 25th, 1973, Gene Hart and Walt Chisowich had the call on WPHL TV. Steve and I will be back at halftime.
Now quickly is Moffitt, number 14, looking for Rote. And there's Bob Smith going up over Rote and heading it off the end line, and Rote will make the toss in.
The Adams have done a great adjustment, and while the two key players have left, they've adjusted well, and Ducilli and Miner are doing a fine job up front.
Shadowing Rigby is number 12, Kyle Rote, Rookie of the Year and the league's leading scorer. Remarkable performance by a young American of a great football heritage, Kyle Rote Sr., in his first year, an American-born player. That's Trevis up on field to Bardo. Bardo dribbling, playing through, too far for Straub. Racing for it is Straub, and number 4, John Best, rolls off the end line, and it's going to be the first corner kick of the evening as we play just a shade under 10 minutes of a scoreless first half. Coming over is George O'Neill, and always a threatening play in soccer. Walter, the corner play.
This is very dangerous, and Chris Dunleavy's also up front. He's a very capable header, and they're hoping to go to him and possibly get a score.
O'Neill drives a low one. Oh, and there was Dunleavy, and he fanned on the shot as it bounced to him, but he clears it off to the near side. That's O'Neill again. Into the goal mouth area, headed away nicely upfield by Roy Turner. Shot back in by Bardo. A great drive by Barry Bardo from 25 yards away, and Cooper covered it and knocked it over the goal, and we'll have another corner kick. Fine drive by Barry Bardo.
It was an unbelievable shot, 25 yards out, and it really looked like it was going to strike the back of the net, but Ken Cooper coming out with a fantastic save to prevent a score.
Bardo, the 23-year-old Northeast High School graduate, is cleared in and headed away out along the near side to Middich. Middich upfield, and carrying that ball is Mohamed Atay, but I believe we have a violation back in the goal mouth area against the Adams.
I believe that the foul was here, Gene, around the 25, and however, there is a player injured for the Tornado, and I think he's shaken up a bit. I believe it's Ray Bloomfield.
Right, Bloomfield was banged up on the play. Played 2 years with Atlanta, came to the United States from Aston Villa. That's quite a famous soccer club in Birmingham, England.
Yes, it is.
Played a little over 11 scoreless minutes of the first half. North American Soccer League Championship game. WPHL TV, proud to bring you this great service, the Championship Sports event, the first opportunity a Philadelphia pro team has of winning a title since the Eagles of '60. Travis, on a great sliding tackle, takes the ball away and starts driving upfield to O'Neill over midfield. Driving through, looking for Ducilli. Ducilli with a drive, blocked by the back of Moffitt. Cleared off to Bloomfield, and he fires off to the far sideline. Over there quickly is Renshaw. He drives it out of bounds, and the Adams will have a toss in from there.
Gene, these two teams are well coached. Both coaches are very capable. Al Moore was voted MVP coach in the league, and Ray Bloomfield was second in running for that honor.
That's Pardo, cleared out. Little 5'5" Mohamed Atay. Battling Startzel for it. He's got great speed and keeps control. Ball hooked away nicely by Straub. Billy Straub, of course, acquired in mid-season from the Montreal Olympique, a former Penn All-American along with Stan Startzel. Now they're teamed together with the Philadelphia Adams.
The irony of the whole thing here is Billy Straub scored a goal for Montreal in mid-season to beat Tornado, and now Al Moore is hoping that he can do here something tonight.
This is a tartan surface, unlike the AstroTurf at Philadelphia. We understand we've lost picture again, so we'll pick up an audio description. We've played 12 minutes of a scoreless first half. Cooper wings it with the right arm over midfield, and Dunleavy beats Rote to the ball. Startzel controls with the right foot, lifts it off into Tornado territory. Knocked down is Miner, controlling the ball is Straub to Miner, about 35 yards along the far side, up the slot. O'Neill breaking to the goal, has trouble with it, playing through to Ducilli. Ducilli trying to get a shot, can't control the ball, it's blocked away to Startzel. Back to Ducilli, knocks his man down, and he's going to be called for elbow on the push.
Charlie Ducilli tried to cover the ball with his body, but used too much of his lower part of the body and fouled Johnny Best, and it'll be a direct kick for Tornado.
With 32 minutes remaining in the first half, no score. Let's pause for this message.
You might tell them there's a video problem between Dallas and Philadelphia, so they don't think it's everything. Somebody pulled out a patch in Omaha.
Back at Texas Stadium, a play through to Renshaw. He's going to drive one. Off to O'Kay, and he hits it too high and drives it 35 yards high and over the goalpost into the far corner. And the first real threatening gesture by the Dallas Tornado. We've lost video, and we understand the problem is not in Philadelphia, but between here, Dallas, Texas, and Philadelphia, and it could be somebody pulled a patch in Omaha.
This was a fine opportunity for Tornado. Excellent play by Mike Renshaw, opening the Adams defense and then feeding Ateno on the side. However, his kick was a mile high.
Got a nice sign on the board on this beautiful $1 billion scoreboard to our right. Says, "Welcome to Channel 17 Philadelphia," but you're not going to be able to see it right now. We hope later on when we pick up audio. Will be tossed in along the near side. Making the play will be Bob Ridley from Australia. Fires into midfield. John Best controlling with a right foot into the goal area. Now winding up a shot by, and we've got picture back, thank you. A shot there by Ilija Vidic from Belgrade, Yugoslavia, who was an original member of this league with the Oakland Clippers about 5 or 6 years ago, Walter.
Gene, I faced him, and he's a fine player. He holds a record for the most penalty kicks scored in the European soccer while playing for Yugoslavia. He's a fantastic player up front, a very knowledgeable player, and dangerous.
There's Roy Evans with the left foot up over midfield. Over Straub, controlled by Jim Benedek of the Montreal defense. Startzel there. Benedek beats him to the ball, but controlled by Startzel, trying to play through upfield for Ducilli. And Startzel's called for shoving. And giving you an opportunity to tell you our officials, the referee right there is Bill Gallagher from Toronto. And the linesman, Bill Wirtz from German Milwaukee. And Howard Niels, the lineman on the far side. Howard Niels from St. Louis.
We have a little problem here between Stanley Startzel and Ray Bloomfield. A little kicking and punching. I think the referee's trying to resolve it and calm the situation.
Walter, in this kind of tense championship situation, a well-done job by Bill Gallagher to keep them cool and not threaten them, because he realizes the pressure under which they're playing tonight. This is for all of it.
This is the only way to do it. Bring them aside, talk to them, straighten them out, let them play soccer.
That's John Best into the goal area. Cleared out by Bob Smith to Startzel. Control, starts dribbling up, playing past Straub, and it rolls deep into the Dallas zone. And just fired back to Ken Cooper by young Moffitt. Moffitt wearing 14.
The Adams are still playing a little bit of nervous soccer, and they're going too much in the air. They have to bring it down, play on the floor, and try to go with wall passes to score.
Marta's shot is picked off and cleared by the Tornado. Off to Startzel, who can't control it with the right foot. It rolls off the near touchline and will be tossed in by Jim Benedict, wearing number 2. That's defenseman Ray Blumfield, challenged by 15 Charlie DeCilli, a high school coach from Willingboro, New Jersey, who has the pressure on him tonight, replacing the absent Jim Friat and Andy Proven. And that time, with Straub challenging, it was Bloomfield lifting it himself into goaltender Cooper. 15 is DeCilli.
There are 3 players here in the stadium that have played on the USA national team that defeated Poland 2 weeks ago, 1-0. Bobby Smith from the Ryder All-American, and Barry Barter, the All-American from Textile, and Roy Turner, the Tornado. These 3 players have helped the national team to defeat Poland.
Roy Turner tossed in number 6 from Liverpool. There's Jim Benedict. Born in Hungary, but a naturalized United States citizen. Roy Evans. Upfield, and we're going to have an offside. And that was Bill Straub. Again, Waller, you can perhaps describe or explain the offside to our soccer neophytes?
Yeah, just quickly, the offsides, you must have the ball always in front of you, or 2 defenders. And then NASL has another rule, a special rule, where they have a line that you can be never offsides within your own 70-yard line of play. When you cross the 30, then you become offsides if the ball's not there or the 2 defenders.
That drive upfield by Best was deflected by Rote to Rigby. Uncranks with the right arm. Sails off to the far side. Miner's beaten to it by Moffitt, but it heads off the side touchline on the far side. And it will be Evans, number 4, tossing in. Watching him is Mike Renshaw in the Dallas orange and blue, wearing the white 11. Rolls past Straub into the far corner. Kicked off the side, and there by number 5, who is Dick Hall. Hall, a native of Portland, England, and actually played on an NASL All-Star club that beat Pele and Santos of Brazil several years ago, 4-3. That's always an honor.
Yes, it is. Playing against a great player like Pele and beating him is a fantastic honor.
Watch DeCilli was in close as a pair of clearing headers were missed by both Turner and Benedict. Now Cooper. Roots went out over midfield. Rote tries to get it. Past him. Picks it up on the carom, and a good play by Smith. And had Rote gotten past Smith, he and Ate would have been 2-on-1 against Derek Trevis. Smith now challenged by Ate. Tries to play through to Startzel. Startzel challenged by Benedict. Back to Smith, through to Bardo. Clears it away on the far side. Racing for it is Hall, beaten to it by Renshaw. Renshaw breaking past Evans. Evans picked him up, and now Renshaw holds. Playing through on the far side to Ilya Midic. Midic can't get past Derek Trevis. Rebound picked up and cleared right in the goal mouth. And Kyle Rote is spun around as Chris Dunleavy takes that ball away and clears upfield. Benedict tries to pick it up on a half volley. Deflects off his left foot and rolls to the near sideline.
Derek
And
Trevis,
with 26 minutes remaining in the first half, there is no score, and we'll pause for this message.
A couple things. I'd like to see if I couldn't do the billboard start of the second at the interview, before the interview, and we'll see what happens.
Back at Texas Stadium, Gene Hart with Walt Chisowitz. Derek Trevis tries to play in, deflects it off to O'Neill, clears it back this side, but right to Jim Benedict, wearing number 2, and he lifts to center field. Kyle Rote heads the ball back, but right to Derek Trevis at midfield.
Derek Trevis, we might say, is the important man in the defense for the Philadelphia Adams. Fantastic ability to read the defenses and a strong tackler on the ground, and certainly has been able to dominate the defense and stopping players like Kyle Rote.
That's Startzel in on the goal. It's blocked. And Bloomfield just roots it out to midfield to Bardo. Good chest trap. Plays off on the left side to Roy Evans. Evans looking to the goal area. Lifts it in there. There's Dusilli by himself. Make that Stroud, but he couldn't turn around for the shot. Cleared off on the far side to Ilya Mitic.
This is the way Philadelphia has to go. They must go to Roy Evans. He's a capable overlapping fullback, and he has the ability to play attack. So they must go to him because he has a lot of space on the left side and penetrate from the left side and hopefully score from that end.
That time, a player with the ball, Renshaw, was signaling Rote to come out and meet it, as so far Dunleavy's done a good job to keep him under control. There's Trevis over his head. Screening is Dunleavy. The ball rolls loose as Rigby could not get to it, and there was Rote, ever dangerous. That was a heart-thumping moment for Philadelphia Atom fans.
A fine play by Chris Dunleavy, never panicking, realizing that Rote was breathing on his back, but still was able to win the ball and knock it out of danger.
That's Hall clearing it up along the far side. Dick Hall losing it to Evans, who clears it up into the stands on the far side. And Walter, a brief comment about this magnificent Texas stadium.
This stadium is unbelievable. I feel that the players, when they run onto this field, the adrenaline really grows to about 300%. They really want to do it here. It's like a carpet in your living room.
It's enclosed except for a rectangular opening in the skylight, a little longer than a football field and about 15 yards wider, so that the people in the seats can never be affected by sun or weather. Just truly a masterpiece of Texas engineering. The home, of course, of the Dallas Cowboy, and here in Irving, Texas, and the property of the city of Irving in Texas, about 12 miles to the north of Houston. Or make that Dallas. Cleared into Rigby. They oohed and awed here, but not a dangerous play as Rigby fires up to Dusilli.
To this moment, still Barry Bardo's shot from 25 yards was the only near chance that either team had, and I think the idea here must be by the Adams. They have to start shooting from the 25 to bring their defense out so they have some open spaces to put the ball through.
Cleared deep downfield. Rigby makes the routine save and plays to Smith. Looks like right now Dusilli's getting a bumping and seems to be upsetting him a bit. Walter, not so much that he can't handle it, he's just not used to it by the number of times he has not played this year.
Well, Charlie is a very intense player, and he's always determined to do right, and sometimes pressure gets to him, but I think he'll overcome that.
Here's Rote, but Trevis beats him to the ball and clears it back calmly to Rigby. We hope the whole family is enjoying championship soccer telecast on Channel 17, and while the family's watching, want to tell you that 17 has some terrific news for everyone. Bonanza's coming back on Channel 17 starting September 6th. That's a show that became a habit around my house, and I'm sure in yours too. I know you'll want to join me every weeknight at 7 for Bonanza, right here on 17. And right here at Texas Stadium with 22 minutes remaining in a scoreless first half. So far, anybody's ball game, Walter. And the Adams minus the flea and the head performing excellently.
This is a difficult adjustment to do for any team, losing two capable strikers that can get goals. It takes time, and certainly 7 days was not enough, but still with it all, Elmore has done a fantastic job in preparing him for this final game.
They tried to play through to Renshaw, but Smith was over there. Cleared up by O'Neill to Evans on the far side. He's challenged by Roy Turner, number 6. Loose at midfield. There's a bump. Bloomfield and O'Neill. I think push or dangerous play there, Walter.
More like dangerous play, and it seems very serious because Ray Bloomfield's holding his leg. They did collide quite seriously.
Don't forget, if our game ends in a tie, there'll be a 5-minute intermission. They'll play 2 15-minute sudden death periods. And in the event that after that time the game is still tied, the contest will be decided on a battle of penalty kicks. And right now we do have that injury at center field. That's Ray Bloomfield, who's in his 3rd year with Dallas, came to the United States from Aston Villa, and he played, believe it or not, before 100,000 at Wembley when he was 15 years of age. And with the clock showing 21 minutes remaining in a scoreless first half, let's pause for this.
We're doing a fine job under the circumstances. Remember, you still have that thing if you want to use it. That's good. From the beginning. One thing I would just say, if you have an opportunity, we'll do it at halftime.
Okay, whenever we can get a chance at shooting number 5, Dunleavy, I'll put his tape on. Back at Texas Stadium, ball cleared up along the near side. There's Dusilli. Nice trap of the right foot, clearing into the center field area. Looking for Minor, but it's knocked away by Bobby Moffett. At center field, number 10 is Ilya Mitic. To Bloomfield, back to Mitic.
Gene, Philadelphia Adams have 5 Americans starting in their first 11, all Americans from different colleges, so you can see the fantastic growth of this game and the fantastic reaction here by the Tornado fans. They tell me that there are close to 30,000 youths playing in Dallas area alone.
We got an injury, and that's Renshaw down. And, you know, Chris Dunleavy has a big job, Walter, to guard the leading scorer, Kyle Roden. And we asked Chris on the plane coming up from Philadelphia today just what he has to do to control this #1 scoring ace in the NASL.
First of all, I think we've got to play him very tight and very hard and not allow him to get to any balls if possible, because you've got to treat with this lad with a lot of respect considering the amount of goals he's scored so far in this season. He's come on a tremendous amount from the beginning of the season when he wasn't doing a great deal, and I think these are the things that I've just got to do. I've just got to play him tight and hard.
Tight and hard, Walter, and you can't ask for any more.
Down with that Cockney Liverpool accent, you can't.
Right play is on. There's Jim Benedek. Back, left foot root, clearing it out. Bob Smith beats Atay, and he should. Smith 6-1, Atay only 5-5. Startzel with a good move to the inside, playing through the zone. Headed to minor by DeCilli and cleared out by Benedek. At Smith again, back in and right out by Bloomfield, number 17. Evans in quickly. Challenged by Turner. To Bardo, who may drive one from there. Blocked off, plays right wing to Minor. Tries to loop in, cuts to the inside. There's Bardo with a drive. And whistles it over the top of the net.
This is the way we have to do it. Bring the ball back, let it ride from 20, 25 yards, get some respect from that defense, bring him out, and then the spaces will open for penetration. We must bring that ball out and take those shots, and fellows like Minor and DeCilli are capable of doing this.
We may see that one again in a minute. All right, that's Cooper, the goaltender, and what a good one. 5'11", he's 27 years of age. Up to midfield. Both Bardo and Rote miss it. It rolls to Smith. Slides one off to the near side, deflected by Startzel to Bardo. Shoved it too far forward. Benedict was able to block and take it away and clear up this side. Right to Bob Smith, and what a great year this young American has had from Rider College, Walt.
Bob Smith, again, we mentioned him on the national team. That really a fantastic thing has happened 2 weeks ago, defeating the Polish national team, who had just a month ago defeated England. So you can see the American player now becoming internationally class player.
Tossing it in, number 6 is Roy Turner, 5'10", 170-pound midfielder. As we said, from Liverpool. With it is Straub, Penn All-American, plays to his former teammate on the near wing. That's Startzel. Fakes once, plays it back into the middle, no one there, and picking it up quickly is Turner and playing it upfield. That's Ilya Mitic, challenged by Bardo. Fakes to the inside, good move around Bardo. Bardo with a leg trap, tries to take it away, kick to the near side, Rote, and we've got a man hurt, and that's Bob Smith, I believe, at midfield at the 25-yard line.
It looks like Chris Dunleavy, and he's hurt.
He was stunned. Of course, we don't stop playing this, do we, Walter?
No, we don't. He's still down. I think the Adams must kick the ball out so we can get a trainer out there.
Now we've got that timeout. And the gentleman you just heard describe what he has to do to block Kyle Rote is shaken up to our left, midway between the center field line and the penalty area. There's Bob Smith, number 3, and Chris Dunleavy, number 5. Dunleavy's had a tremendous year here, and he's not been the one to get the press notices, but boy, whenever there's been a tough job defensively, he's handled it. He's 24 years of age. He plays with the Southport Football Club, as do Friat and Provan. He's 5'10", 165 pounds. He's married. His wife is here. He's an all-around athlete. Played, believe it or not, in England high school basketball, Walter, and played on the Liverpool Basketball City Champions, and also cricket. We talked a little bit about that, and a member of the track team. So soccer, basketball, track, and cricket.
He's a fine athlete, and there are 4 of them really from Liverpool. 2 for the Tornado, John Best and Roy Turner, and then we have Chris Dunleavy and, of course, Roy Evans. So they've known each other for many years, and now they're battling in the strange country at a fantastic stadium.
Walter, the first time this year, one of the rare times you'll see a drop ball, which is a face-off or like a jump ball in other sports.
There you go, Gene. Back to that ice hockey stuff.
Number 11, O'Neill. Number 6 for the Tornado is Roy Turner. And it's not Tornadoes, it's strictly Tornado. Bob Smith was challenged in there by Turner, who bumped him as Smith cleared it off the near touch line.
Last year, this Tornado team tied a famous Moscow Dynamo team from Russia in front of 27,000 people here at the stadium. A 1-1 tie, so you know that this Tornado team is well coached, and it'll be a tough game for the Adams for the 90 minutes.
That's Bardo. Startzel, a good air trap with a left foot, dribbling in through the center area. Winds up with a drive. It's blocked by Bloomfield. Into the goal area. Straub can't reach it. O'Neill challenging Mohamed Atay. That's Startzel. O'Neill back to Evans. Atay is caught between them. Evans lifts it into the goal mouth. Straub tries to play through to Silly. Good play. Protected by the Tornado and cleared out. There's Dunleavy really giving Kyle Rote Jr. all that he can handle. And it's probably there a great battle of talent against talent, but perhaps Dunleavy the edge with experience, Walter.
Yes, I think he's been around in England, and they do a lot of bumping and shoving, and he's faced players such as Kyle Rote, physically strong, so he knows how to play that type of a player.
There's Mike Renshaw looking to lift it in. He's going to get a drive. It's blocked and smothered. There's a shot by Rote, and it just whistled wide. Or was that Ilya Mitic?
That was Ilya Mitic in a very dangerous situation. Looked very close from this angle and just missed by inches.
We're going to see if we can get a chance to look at that again. That drive by Ilya Mitic on the setup by Renshaw. Now we're in live action. Great toss upfield by Bob Rigby. And Walter, I've never seen such a throwing arm as Rigby has anywhere else in goaltending.
He's so strong, I think he must have done a lot of shot putting in college. He's an All-American from East Stroudsburg, and I believe he's a physical education major, so he must have done a lot of work with weights, because he can certainly send that ball 60, 70 yards.
Rote got that time from Dunleavy, but couldn't control, and now the Adams Startzel up. There's Straub, back to Startzel along the near side. Midfield to Bardo. Bardo challenged by Bloomfield. Lifts it into the goal area. Too far for either Miner or Straub, and it goes to Cooper. Quickly upfield. Rolls it to Dick Hall. Hall up along that far sideline. Now challenged by number 11 O'Neill. Driving pass, looking for Rote. And again, it's Dunleavy winning that one-on-one battle. Bardo upfield quickly to Roy Evans.
This is a very hard-fought game, and neither team is giving an inch. They're going for every ball. They're sticking their feet in there.
Ducilli trying to play through to Straub. Blocked. Of course, you've got to give credit to both defenses. This year, only 19 goals given up by Dallas, only 14, an incredible 14 in 20 games by Philadelphia.
Both defenses are well organized. They understand each other in the tandem movement of support and cover in the defense, and this is very important from the coaching point of view. You must build a strong defense, and then you work on the attack.
14:46 remaining in a scoreless first half, and we'll pause for this. I'll read this coming back. I'll read this coming back.
You know, after a while, when you...
Back at Texas Stadium, Gene Hart with Walt Chisowitz. We have no score. You're seeing championship soccer tonight, and I know you'll also be happy to see back on 17 the Untouchables. A terrific show. I catch it when I can. You'll follow it immediately afterwards. That's Untouchables this year with Bonanza. So you'll see Untouchables and Bonanza, and there's a great doubleheader combination, and I hope you'll be watching with me, the Hart and Chisowitz family. It's the Untouchables at 6, Bonanza at 7 this fall on 17. Bardo through the middle. Playing to Miner. Miner drives one in, and Cooper just rolls wide.
Gene, I think the Adams now...
Go ahead, Walter. And we're going to see if we can watch that on instant replay.
I think the Adams now have slowed the pace, and now they're playing more with their intelligence and mental ability rather than just physical, wasted running, nervous running. They've calmed down. They're putting the ball more on the ground, and just this replay, which you'll watch, you'll see where some intelligence was involved.
Now we're back to live action. Ilya Mitic to Roy Bloomfield. Far side, Mike Renshaw, who's been very, very responsible, according to Adams coach Al Miller, for the great scoring surge in the last half of the season by Dallas. Good field work. Finally, Bob Smith breaks it down. Renshaw still with it. 3 Adams around him, and finally, he was outgunned, and it was taken away by O'Neill. Startzel on the far left wing at midfield to Evans. Challenged in there now by Roy Turner. Lifts it through to Miner. Kicked away from him along to the far side by Bobby Moffett. And we'll have a touchline throw-in by the Adams Roy Evans, number 4.
This is what has brought Philadelphia into this final championship game, their ability to help each other. Around the ball, you find 3-4 players in the defense always, and this is why they're here.
O'Neill lifts one in to the near side. Ducilli with a head. It's high. Cooper racing for it and punches it out of harm's way. To Turner. Racing for it is O'Neill. Both he and Hall hit it. Now it's Moffitt and Stroud battling for it. Adams pressuring in on the goal. O'Neill tries to drive. It rolls out to Evans. And beautifully cleared out upfield by the Tornado. Bardo goes down. Finally, Renshaw set up at midfield. Throw to Ilya Mitic. Marshall racing after him as the crowd rises in intensity. Knocked back to Renshaw. Adams set up defensively. Lifts to the near side, looking for Otte. Bob Smith breaks it away cleanly and plays out on the near right wing for Charlie Ducilli. Over midfield, Mohamed Otte. Ducilli looking for Straub. Straub challenged in there, trying to break to the net. Good foot trap in there by Hall. Lifts it into the goal mouth, and Miner just had it knocked away by Moffitt, and I believe we have an offside call on the far side, or a pushing by the linesman Howard Niels from St. Louis.
Pushing on Carl Miner. He made a hard effort to win that ball in the air, but got too anxious and put his hand on the defender's back. Gene, the Tornado midfield with Mike Renshaw and Roy Turner has been outstanding. Their work rate is unbelievable. They're winning a lot of tackles, and they really are able to dominate midfield at this time.
There's Cooper. We have exactly 11 minutes remaining in the first half. Remember, we go home with a winner tonight. There'll be sudden death overtime, 2 15-minute periods, and if you're still tied at the end of that, they'll have a penalty kick playoff.
The great thing about the Philadelphia Adams, if they bring this championship home, Philadelphia will be in its glory, because they won the amateur national championship some months ago by the Philadelphia Inter Club, and now if they win this professional championship, it will be an unbelievable thing for Philadelphia fans.
There's Renshaw, being shadowed by Evans. Startzel almost picks it off. It goes to Benedek. Lifts. There's Trevis clearing it away, and he's got a tremendous ability with that head defensively, Walter.
Trevis is a schemer. He has all the intelligence that you want to know. He holds a coaching license, so he can really organize his defense.
Beautiful play by Evans. Gets inside his man. Lifts through to Straub. Straub almost tripped up to the end line. It rolls off and we'll have a corner kick.
Again, here's where we try to tell you for the last 30 minutes. You must go to Roy Evans. Let him build the play for the Adams, because with this kind of a situation, he has the ability to come up and even score goals.
Third corner kick of the first half, and Walter, a fine addition to fans' information here is that the running stats are flashed up periodically on the board, so you know save, shots, corner kicks, and violations. O'Neill lifts one in. There's Dunleavy up, lifts one over the net. As Cooper in the black shirt with the orange one covers that play. Waller, a lot of the fans sometimes are not familiar with soccer, want to know why the goaltenders wear different jerseys.
This is just to have a distinction or a contrast from his team and the opponent's team, and some of them even psychologically wear different colors because they've had outstanding games, so they keep that particular color.
I guess probably, too, as a guide to the referee to know the one man who's allowed to play that ball with the hands.
Yes.
There's Straub to Ducilli. Lifting it through to Straub, trying to beat Benedict to it. Does. Lifts it into the corner, tries to center, and slides off the end line. You know, I tell you right now, Ducilli and Straub are showing no hesitation to move in there. They're playing with a little more fervor and a little more aggressiveness, and much to their credit, they're in a very, very tight situation tonight under the pressure of having to replace the number one and number two scorers of this club and the league's second and third most valuable players, Proven and Pryat.
Gene, they're out there with a lot of confidence now. They give you the impression that they've played the entire season and they're working well together, and I think it's a matter now of time that they coordinate a quick score.
There's a play through to Straub, cleared out by Benedict. Bardo, who's one of the great chest trappers that we've seen in this or any league. Off it goes to Ilya Mitic, looking for Renshaw on the far side. And we asked Charlie Ducilli, Walter, why...
So we're at halftime of the 1973 North American Soccer League final between the Dallas Tornado and the Philadelphia Adams here on the first episode of Soccer Rewind. I'm Ken Tomash. Thanks for watching so far. If this looks like something that you might enjoy going forward, please like this video hit subscribe, hit the bell so you'll get notified of new uploads, which we'll try to do every week. Can't promise that. And then email us as well. The email address you see right there, rewind@ken.com. Let us know if there is a game that you want to see from the past, or maybe someone you want us to talk to. All right, so we're at halftime, and Steve Holroyd, historian from Philadelphia, is back with us. Steve, this first half was a defensive struggle. Obviously, the Adams makeshift lineup kept Dallas from generating much at all. Kenny Cooper solid in the Dallas net, but it was not a great demonstration of the beautiful game.
It was not, but I mean, the Adams got to where they got largely through defense. For all the talk about Provid and Fryatt, the defensive line was known as the no goal patrol. Bobby Rigby and for a huge chunk, backup goalkeeper Norm Wiggert were doing outstanding in the nets, and of course the defense of Derek Trevis, Chris Dunleavy, a gentleman from Liverpool named Roy Evans, and an American named Bobby Smith. Just that's what they did, a stifling defensive game. And you saw the Dallas played with flair. I mean, Mike Renshaw, Ilya Minich, Baby Jet, Atia, they had some really nice offensive players, and they would try to string together passes, but the Adams knew how to play defense. Conversely, without their two top offensive players, the Adams, they were trying to play long balls, get the ball to Straub, hope for a cross. And no, it wasn't very pretty. But there are other factors there, too, that modern viewers may be taking for granted. The game was played on tartan turf, which is another form of AstroTurf. Regardless, it's not a great surface for soccer. It was also very humid, about 85 degrees. Again, most of the players on the field, if you take into account the Dallas guys, were English, not the kind of conditions they were prone to thrive in. So, yeah, it was not a recipe for good football across the board.
And you mentioned that the turf at Texas Stadium may have been slightly more forgiving than that at the Vet, but I think most versions of concrete were probably more forgiving than that at the Vet. So same for both teams. But you mentioned Kyle Rote Jr., and we'll get to that now. He was obviously the American heartthrob. He led the league in scoring that year. Was too much made of him. He was obviously a solid player, but was the thirst for an American superstar such that he was maybe built up to a point that his talents couldn't possibly live up to?
Yes and no. I mean, Kyle was a good player. One doesn't score 10 goals in a professional league without being good. But there are other Americans that year who are also scoring. Joey Fink scored 11 with the New York Cosmos. Gene Geimer scored, I think he had 9 or 10 with St. Louis Stars. But the pressure was on Kyle Rote because of his name. The league was desperate for an American star. And one thing Kyle Rote had going for him was his name, because, as Junior would imply, his father was a star. He was a football star with the New York Giants. You're a football,
and
you're
Texas.
in Texas. You're a Porty Ball head, Ken. And I'm a Packers fan, so I'll throw this in. And his uncle was Tobin Rote, who was also a quarterback in the early AFL. We can't forget Tobin. But he was not only scoring goals, but he had the right name. But the problem is, with all due respect to Mr. Rote, as opposed to Joey Fink and Gene Geimer, who were like lifetime soccer players, they grew up and played in ethnic leagues and things like that. Kyle came to the game rather late, was relying largely on his athleticism. And as a result, it probably made him more prone to more likely to be counteracted defensively. And that's what the Adams wound up doing in this match.
He was a terrific athlete. You'd normally see him, and even guys like Brian Budd do really well on the TV show from the 70s, The Superstars. He would constantly perform well in those. So, yes, a really terrific athlete and a very, very good soccer player. But when you carry that name and the hopes of a league and a nation on your back, that's tough for anybody to live up to. And his career was probably a little bit shorter than it should have been, in part because of that.
You mentioned how the pressures of the league putting all of its hopes on Kyle Rote affected his career long term. It probably affected him in this game too, because for all the good marking Chris Dunleavy put on him, and Dunleavy made it clear he was going to body him up and make him know he was there and things like that. What was even worse was Sports Illustrated, who were covering the game, wanted to get a lot of shots of Kyle Rote because they figured he was going to be the story. About an hour before the game, in the biggest game of Kyle Rote's young life at that point, spent about an hour making him do diving headers and things like that in the 85-degree heat for photos. That couldn't have helped Kyle's freshness as the game progressed and the league was pressing to try to get a goal.
Cannot imagine that happening today at any level whatsoever. We talked about American players. Another thing that we kind of had a lack of in those days was American broadcasters. Gene Hart and Walt Chiswich was a bit ubiquitous in those days. You'd see him on a lot of broadcasts. He would pop up. But Gene was a hockey announcer. You'll hear some hockey references during the match. But I thought, for what it was, I thought he did a pretty decent job. Obviously, he was very familiar to the people watching in Philadelphia, which was where this was broadcast back to. What did you think of Gene Hart's performance?
I thought, and I thought he did a good job, and it's even clearer in hindsight when you realize when the Philadelphia Fever and Philadelphia Fury later teams are bringing in other icons like Harry Callis, longtime Phillies announcer, Hall of Famer. I think he just got inducted, did a Fever game, and Andy Musser, also a Phillies guy, did Fever games, and Al Meltzer, a longtime basketball guy, was doing Fury games, and they didn't really know what was going on. They relied heavily on the color analysts. Gene put in the effort to know about the game. I think it helped that of the games, hockey is probably most like soccer as opposed to baseball or basketball. And although you'll hear some references in exciting moments to the puck is loose, he does a good job. And he also knew his audience. And perhaps Gene himself, being a newcomer to hockey when he became a hockey announcer, I think was cognizant that people watching the game may not necessarily have been soccer fans. See, now I'm doing it, and made it a point to try to explain all sides, try to explain corner kicks, but not in as overbearing a way as we would see in the 70s with ABC's broadcasts and Jim McKay, God bless him, great announcer, but the script they gave him to try to explain the rules got tedious at times. So Gene Hart did a wonderful job.
That's true. All right, Gene Hart and Walt Chiswich will return with the second half now. Steve and I will return at the conclusion of the 90 minutes. Oops, did I just give something away? Hope not. It's been 51 years. Spoiler alerts are out. We'll put a bow on this one when it's all over. This is Soccer Rewind.
Texas Stadium. To your left, the owner of the Philadelphia Atoms, Tom McCloskey. To your right, one of the guiding forces behind the start of the American Football League, the great Kansas City Chiefs, a benefactor and the starter of the North American Soccer League, and the owner of the Dallas Tornado, Lamar Hunt. And sir, it's our pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Gene.
Tom, you too.
Thanks very much, Gene.
Is this true that Tom McCloskey bet you 2 tons of Philadelphia scrapple against an oil well in this game?
My gosh, I hadn't heard about it. I used to go to school up near Philadelphia at Pottstown, and I know about that scrapple.
I know about the oil wells, too.
Mr. Hunt and Mr. McCloskey, in the past years they're saying, can soccer make it? So we're going to eliminate that question because obviously it has by the success here in Dallas and Philadelphia. So what, sir, do you see for the future of this league?
Well, Gene, I think I wouldn't say we're without problems, but I think soccer does have great potential. I think the crowds, especially that they've drawn in Philadelphia this year, are so significant for a first-year team. And I think they've proved to the rest of the league, which has been struggling for 4 or 5 years, and they've proved to many cities that don't have soccer now that maybe soccer does have some potential. I think it has a lot, and I'll confess I'm interested in all sports, and I think the game is a great game and a fine game for American children, and I think it would be a good thing to see it grow.
Tom, how do you feel after your year? You're really happy you got into this business instead of football?
Well, Gene, you know, I tried the football, but now I must say I am really a soccer fan. This is a very, very exciting sport. And naturally, we're elated about how well we've done in Philadelphia this year. I must confess, when we took the franchise, we thought we'd draw perhaps maybe half as many as we wound up drawing. So we've got to be very happy, and I think gives us a chance now. We've established the franchise in Philadelphia, and what it's going to do now is give us a chance to really go out and get these people to come on down there next year and really support us. I think we'll draw really fine crowds next year.
Gentlemen, I think one of the most significant things this year, the 3 top rookies, Bob Rigby, Joe Fink, your Kyle Rowe Jr., 3 Americans, and is the ultimate an all-American force in the North American Soccer League.
I doubt if we'll ever see the day when it'll be all-American, because I think that's one of the advantages that America has as a country is that people from all over the world want to come here and live. But I think this year in the league, 35% of the players were American or Canadian born, and I think we're going to see a day within 3 or 4 years where maybe 75% of the players in the league will be American born.
Tom, and I know you're proud that 6 of the starting players tonight for the Atoms are American-born.
Very proud. And I think that's no question that had a lot to do with our success in the attendance in Philadelphia. 5 of them, I think, are from the Philadelphia area, and that's helped.
Of course, and you have a hero now, former football star at SMU, Kyle Rode, and his son, Kyle Rode Jr. That's certainly got to be a factor to help soccer here.
Well, it obviously is. Kyle was a big star at SMU here in Dallas and is, of course, so well known nationally. And his son is just a very fine young man and a heck of a soccer player.
Hey, before we go, can I get some insider information? How about the Chiefs this year?
Well, we're optimistic. Preseason right now, and I'll maybe tell you a little more in December.
Tom, we talked a little bit before with Bob Ellinger about indoor soccer, and would you like to see that come to fruition?
Well, I saw one game in Atlanta that Dallas played against Atlanta about 2 months ago. And as exciting as this is, believe it or not, that thing's even more exciting. I think the one feature of it is that on the goal kicks, you get the rebound, and it comes back off the boards, and instead of getting one goal kick, maybe 1 or 2 every moment or so, there you get maybe 6 or 8 in about 30 seconds, and the scoring's higher, and it's just much more exciting, I think.
That certainly should be another addition to our winter scene. Gentlemen, Lamar Hunt of the Dallas Tornado, Tom McCloskey, the Philadelphia Adams, our congratulations on your great season and continued good success in the NASL and with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Thanks.
We'll be back with the start of the second half of play with the score here, Dallas 0 and Philadelphia 0 after these messages.
This is Walt Chiswich back at Dallas Stadium with some quick analysis of the first half and also some statistics. First, we might say that the Philadelphia Adams have somewhat of an edge. They've dominated first half play, and hopefully in the second half they come out and continue this kind of domination and score a quick goal. Tornado has organized well their defense, and it's very difficult for the Adams now to penetrate. So we hope to see some quick adjustments at halftime, and Coach Miller coming up with some other ideas as he has done in the past very, very capably. In statistics, we find that shots at goal, the visitors, Philadelphia Adams having 10, Dallas Tornado with 4. Saves, Bob Rigby 1 save, Ken Cooper 4 saves. In fouls, the Adams dominated this area with 9, Dallas 3. And offsides, both teams having 1 offsides. Corner kicks, we find that the Adams are leading in that area 3-1. So really, if we would say if statistics tell a story, then the Adams have dominated the first half, and hopefully they will continue to put this kind of pressure on the Dallas Tornado team. If the Adams are able to bring the ball down on the ground and pace their play in the second half, there is no question that they will come home victorious and bring the first championship to the Philadelphia area fans. And back to Gene.
Gene Hart back here at the television booth, Channel 17, at just superb Texas Stadium. Across the far way above the lower seated area, you see glasses that goes all the way around on 2 levels, and they are all super boxes that range in prices up to $100,000 for mere occupation. And after that, it's up to the tenant to refurbish or furbish it in any way they see fit. And as we've seen here as we go through, everything from Danish modern to Louis XIV, and really one of the superb edifices for sports in the world today. Again, it is a partial roof with the area above the upper deck open, a roof covering the seating area at the ends and on the side, with the open area sort of like a sunroof of an automobile that extends the length of the actual turf area itself and as wide, so that the sun shines through here during the day, and basically it protects against rain. There you get a chance to see it now. Really one of the 8th wonders of the world. They've got them both here, the enclosed Astrodome in Houston and this great Texas Stadium in Irving, which is just a few miles outside of the city of Dallas, Texas. Again, no score in the first half. As we start the second half, it will be the Adams kicking off and moving the ball from our right to our left. They're wearing silver and blue uniforms with the dark blue numerals. And the Dallas Tornado wearing a basic dark blue shirts with orange trim, white with orange trim numbers, and lighter blue pants, white stockings. You see there's Kyle Rode Jr., 6 foot, 180 pounds. To him, Mohamed Atay, 5'5", 145 pounds. Renshaw wearing number 11, and behind is number 10, Ilya Mitic. There's 17. Billy Straub, 10 All-American, obtained by the Adams at mid-season from the Montreal Olympique, and to his right, Charlie Ducilly. Play is on. No score as we start the second half. There's O'Neill. Renshaw now controls. Bardo and Renshaw collide. Ball free, still no possession. Finally, Atay takes it away. Plays back into his own zone to defensive back Best. Quickly upfield. Slides off Rode forward to Ridley, who's in the game, I believe, for the first time starting the second half. Number 7, Bob Ridley, an Australian.
Jeannie Jess was replaced coming in the second half. And I guess Ron Newman, the coach of Tornado, is hoping to put in a fresh man and outrun the Adams defense.
There's Tay, kept under control. He's got great speed. Playing off to the near side to Bobby Moffitt, quickly over midfield, dribbling along the near side, penetrating, playing through, and there's a shot. Up and over, and the shot was by Kyle Rhodes.
Both teams are now perspiring very heavily. The heat down below is very high. It's about 98 to 100 degrees, and a crowd of over close to 18,000 people certainly causing more heat, and the game is becoming very taxing to these players.
I might point out that the Adams party, the players particularly, were regretful that the game was not in Philadelphia, not merely for the home field edge, but they thought that the fans had been so tremendous that they deserved it. And we're going to have the first corner kick of the night for the Tornado, and we asked Bob Rigby just what he feared most defensively from a corner kick.
Any ball that's at a distance where I'd have to worry about if I can get the ball or not. Anything that's maybe a little bit too far out of my reach, but I still think I should cover.
There it was. You saw, as Bob Rigby described, he had to make the move with that ball and was able to punch it out of harm's way.
He's doing this quite well now, Gene. In the beginning, he had some problems adjusting to the 18-yard area play, but certainly the second half of the season, he has gained a lot of confidence, and now he comes out very strong and wins a lot of balls in the 18.
Ridley and Evans collide. It goes off Evans, and it will be played in along the near side by Bob Ridley. Into a Tay deep in the corner, tries to throw it in, and it's blocked by Trevis, and once again, the Tornado have a corner kick.
Tornado has come out very aggressively here, and I think the strategy, they want to come out quickly, maybe get a goal and sit on it, and hopefully to win the championship. So the Adams must be extra careful in the next few minutes.
Right, played in by Tay to Bloomfield, lifted in on Rigby, and playing the net well, doesn't make the grab and lets it hit off of the end line, and so the Adams have a free kick, an indirect from their own goal line, or from the 12-yard marker area.
Actually, that was a poor chip by Tay. I think he wanted to loop it deep, but he did take his eye off the ball and miskicked it out of bounds.
You know, on the early stages, the first 3 minutes of this second half, Walter, the Tornado have played both times to the near wing and penetrated Tay twice, and I just wonder whether that might be a plan of attack or it just happened to come to two openings.
I think they want to go to Bob Ridley, a freshman, number 7. He has just come in the game. He's rested and he's ready to go, so they want to go here and maybe capitalize from that area.
There's Cooper lifting it out along the near side. Ridley beats Evans to it, but Trevis picks it right out of the air and drives it back into the Tornado zone. Evans clears it up along the near side. Racing forward is Miner. He'll get there first. He's got Ducilli in front. And the shot, or the clearing pass, is blocked by Hall. And it carried off Miner, and what appeared to be a corner kick is just going to be a goal kick by the Tornado.
A fine play by Dick Hall. A strong defender again, compliments Johnny Best and does a fine job in the defense.
With no score and 41 minutes remaining, we'll return to the action in just 30 seconds. With 40 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in regulation play, we're in the second half. We have no score, Dallas and Philadelphia. Dallas is really making a play into a Tay, bounces away from Trevis, but he recovers and beats a Tay, who's much the smaller man. Now there's Ridley in close, driving, and it was deflected by Bob Smith, who seemed to take that one in the midsection, doubled over briefly, but play is on the throw in the near side by Renshaw. So Moffitt playing into the goal area, cleared out on a good head by Smith, and we have a push from behind by Bobby Moffitt against Carl Miner, and the Adams will make the free upfield. 40 minutes remaining in regulation play. And we say that because if we're tied at the end of 90 minutes, we'll have two 15-minute periods of sudden death. And again, if there's no decision after that half hour of extra play, we'll go into a penalty kick situation, and we'll explain that a little bit later on if that possibility seems to come up.
Gene, it's obvious now that the team that's going to be the most fittest is going to win this game. It's very hot down there, and a team that has been training hard the entire season, I think, will eventually win this game.
There's Bardo. Off to Startzel. Oh, he's tripped, and we have a foul. And we're going to have a direct free from that point, Walter?
direct kick, and this is a dangerous situation. A good chance for the Adams to try to score, and here's the replay.
Back to live action. There's the play by O'Neill. Header missed. It's right in the goal mouth, and Miner can't get the shot in on the goal as it was twisted around. And it came away as Ridley clears it upfield past Bardo. And that time we noticed they didn't have Rote upfield, but they had him in the goal mouth area, so there was no Tornado downfield. They're clearing into O'Neill. O'Neill's right on in. Oh, and he kicks it over the net. There's Miner. A shot. Hits the post on the outside and goes off the sideline. That was Dusilly.
This was a great opportunity for the Adams. O'Neill having a chance to score, and watch this on replay.
There was the opportunity, and it just hit the outside of the post as Dusilly could not get the angle to drive it to the net.
The first stage, O'Neill, a little calmer if he was at that time, would have had him and put the Adams 1-0 ahead.
The mistake, and here comes Bardo. In on the net, there's Straub, gets the head to Startzel with a drive. Didn't get a good foot on it and deflected off to the near side.
A fine play by Billy Straub. Rather than going to the goal, he brought the ball back, laying it nicely on Stanley Startzel's left foot. However, a miskicking Stanley wasn't able to score.
We asked Stanley what the difference is between the Startzel who plays so well here and the one that did not play during the middle of the season.
Well, Gene, I think it was a matter of, first of all, positioning. I was in the wrong position last year in New York. Started out on the left wing, which was a little bit far in this year. Now at midfield, I think I'm where I belong. It's also a matter of confidence, because I have the confidence of the 10 other players around me now, but more importantly, the confidence in myself.
That was Stan Startzel wearing the number 8, the former Penn All-American with the ball now.
Stan had 3 great years at the University of Pennsylvania, getting a lot of goals in the attack when he played there.
Cleared into the goal mouth. Miner just can't reach it, and Cooper's out quickly to cover. As the teams are opening up a little more, and there are more scoring opportunities here in the first 8 minutes of this half, Walter, than there was in the entire first half. Guess these clubs realize you cannot play for a tie.
Gene, I think that also they're a little bit tired now, and they're playing a little bit more with their heads rather than physically, and a lot of intelligent play is evident now on the field.
Travis breaks the ball away from Rote. High drive into the Tornado zone. Heading it out is Blumfield to a take. Good pass upfield to Rote, who has trouble controlling. Now he's hit from behind by Smith. There's a booing here. Now they almost play through. There's Rote on the near side, intending it for Ridley, and Evans was on the spot to clear to O'Neill. Now we have a violation, an offside, or a violation, upfield against the pushing against
Roy Turner.
Right.
Roy Turner pushing from behind, and Adams gets the kick.
36 minutes remaining in regulation time, and we have no score. There's Startzel. Back pass to Trevis. In deep. Plays it off Mohamed Atay, but it's not a deflection. It's off Trevis, and we have Tornado playing upfield. Here's another reminder about Bonanza. Back on Channel 17 this fall. Glenn Cartwright and his sons on the giant Ponderosa Ranch. We're really happy to see it return. I'm sure you will be every night at 7. I hope you'll watch it. Bonanza, back this fall on Channel 17. Down into Tornado zone with the ball is Best. It goes off the touchline on the side, and the Adams will have a toss-in.
Gene, Derek Trevis is doing a fantastic job this evening, overlapping from his center back spot. By overlapping, meaning coming up in the attack and supporting the attack, and hopefully put more pressure on the Tornado defense.
Trying to keep it in, and almost doing it is Hall. But again, we have a touchline throw-in, this time handled by Startzel.
Startzel, likewise, second half has come into his zone. He's putting a lot more pressure on his defender, and he's getting more into the game.
Bardo loops it off to the near side to Miner. Is challenged by Moffitt. They both miss. Moffitt recovers, though, and sends it up to midfield. Racing for it is Rote and Dunleavy. Dunleavy gets it, but it goes to Atay. Atay has it kicked away by O'Neill on a great cover-up defensive play, and the Adams are showing every reason why tonight, Walter. They were the #1 defensive team with only 14 goals allowed in 20 regular season games and 1 in playoff action.
Gene, they don't allow any team to play. Their physical conditioning is fantastic. Midfielders are working hard. Georgie O'Neill from Scotland, a great worker on the field. Barry Bardo, another one. So they don't allow any freedom for this attack of Tornado. And this is why they've been so successful the entire year.
Trevis is probably the greatest exponent of that sliding scissor trap to prevent the ball going through his legs and protecting either side, and really domineering on 1-on-1 when the man with the ball often has the edge. There's Blumfield to the middle, throwing it in towards the net, past Rote. Dunleavy covers, tries to keep it in as Rote made the challenge and couldn't. Oh, yes, they said he did. So we're going to have the corner kick. I thought the booing here implied that the referee had signaled a goal kick.
This is a dangerous situation. That ball should have rolled out. Chris Dunleavy wasn't thinking at that time and giving Tornadoes an opportunity to put in the corner in a very dangerous situation.
Third corner kick of this half. We've played 11 minutes. We have no score in the game. Bob Ridley will do the right foot. Out deep and to no one. Bardo over there to cover. Gets past Ilya Minich and brings the ball upfield. He has clear sailing as defensively Tornado dropped back quickly. Bardo through to Miner. Miner looking for the shot. Tries to get inside his man. Does! A shot! Great save by Cooper. And a great play by Carl Miner.
Gene, Barry Bardo, first of all, taking the ball low for 70 yards. And watch the replay where Carl Miner tries to score.
And we're back to live action. No score. And there was a great play by Carl Miner, who went outside, then drew inside with the left foot and almost opened this game scoring. There's Evans. Lopes went into the center. Stroud plays to Miner, but it bounces off the back of him as the play trailed him. Upfield now, Bloomfield. Challenged by O'Neill. They break past Evans, though. Playing up on the near side to Ridley. Fresh man. Ridley lifts it into the goal area. Rote. Beaten again by Dunleavy, who's just playing superbly against Kyle Rote Jr.
Chris Dunleavy here fighting Carl Rote, and Bobby Smith, tremendous cover in the defense, winning the ball freely and clearing it.
Bob Smith breaks that play up to midfield, but Ridley covers it and sends it back to Bloomfield. Through to Renshaw. Left wing pass. Covering that ball for the Adams is Miner. Tornado get it back. Bob Ridley along the near side wearing number 7. Slides through to Mohamed Atay. Atay challenged by Smith, and we're going to have Smith believed for pushing along the near touchline to our right.
Sometimes this is not a bad play to do. Atay did a fantastic play here, dribbling in the air over Smith's head, so Smith decided, well, I better stop him before he scores, and certainly we call it a little bit of gamesmanship, but you must do it to prevent a score at times.
Direct free, it can go in. Watch the head by Rote. Covered by Dunleavy, so he couldn't direct it goalward, and Startzel quickly gets it out of harm's way. Moffett climbs up over Miner 16 to drive it back to the Adams goal. Covered, though, by Straub and sent to Startzel. That's Miner. Miner, play broken up by Best number 4. Here comes Minich. Drive on the net. And Rigby made the save, and with the score, Adams nothing, Tornado nothing, 31 minutes left in regulation play. We'll pause for 30 seconds.
Very good, guys. So far, we're doing fine. Just after that surprise.
Back at Texas Stadium, Stroud heading it into the corner. DeSilly wants to settle it, traps it at the end line. Can't make a play, and it's cleared out nicely by Best along the far side to the touchline, and we'll have a throw in quickly by O'Neill to Startzel.
Gene, in the second half, a great adjustment. Al Muller probably telling his players, go more to Roy Evans. He has a lot of space on the left side, and they're giving him the ball now, consequently putting a lot of pressure on the Tornado defense.
That's Ridley, who's been the only substitution in the game. Battling Trevis, shoots it into the middle, and there's Smith beating Rote to the play and heads it back cleverly to Rigby.
A fine play by Bobby Smith, and you might say in 1 year he has gained tremendous experience playing in this league, and only at 21 he has a great future for the Philadelphia Adams.
There's a play, and we have a whistle, and we have a push, and that'll be called against Roy Turner, number 6. And again, Walter, for a new soccer fans, the difference between a direct and an indirect free.
A direct kick is where a player is permitted to score on goal directly without anyone assisting him. Indirect, you must push it to another teammate before the ball can go in the net.
Travis looping into the goal to Straub. He fires it in on the net, and DeSilly just failed to get there in time, and the fans boo here. Or make that minor. The fans boo as if Cooper were hit, but he really wasn't. It went down from the momentum of the save. That's Ridley, number 7. Left wing to Ilya Minich from Yugoslavia. Back to Ridley. Rote breaking for the net. Centering pass. There's Mohamed Atay. It's only 5-5 and it sails over his head. O'Neill drives it up along the near side to Minor. Minor cuts to the inside. Tries to play upfield for Startzel. It's blocked by Renshaw and rolls to Bloomfield, number 17. To Middich, number 10.
Gene, let's hope the Adams score because I don't want to see him play 30 minutes overtime. This heat down below is unbelievable, and the players are really working hard.
Bloomfield for the net. Rigby out. Great save as he had Rote in there.
This is a new skill that Bob Rigby has acquired, and watch him on the replay again, having the ability to play on the 18.
Back to live action. 28 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in regulation play. Bloomfield got a man with him. Wrigley open on the near wing. Great play by Trevis as Bloomfield throws to shoot, and we've got an Adams injured here at midfield. With the ball is Dunleavy, and it is Roy Evans who really seems to be shaken up in the legs and giving himself his massage to shake him out of it. And he's hurt too badly. We've got another player down, and this is a Tornado player near the 18-yard line. The play continues. Middich. Back passes, but right to Startzel, and Startzel kicks it out. And the purpose there, of course, is to get a stoppage of play as we have two players shaken up. Roy Evans for the Philadelphia Adams, and we'll have to pick up the number of the Tornado to the right of your screen. And with 28 minutes remaining in the regulation second half, there is no score, and we'll return to play in 30 seconds.
Now might be a good time to kick that Trevis thing in while we're waiting. Can you get that picture of 18?
Back here at Texas Stadium, 28 minutes and 14 seconds remaining. We had Ridley injured. He's just getting up. Or make that Roy Bloomfield, number 17. And for the Adams, it was Roy Evans. And we're going to pick up Derek Travis, and Derek would like to say for the Philadelphia Adams a thank you to you great soccer fans of Philadelphia. And we'll get to that in just a minute. As play continues, will not break from the action. Ridley set for the toss into Mohamed Atay. Can't control. Starts to lift it upfield, and it's cleared away by O'Neill. Bloomfield has it. Turner now back to Bloomfield. Left puts it trying to get through to Atay. Blocked off by Startzel. Play maybe just slowing down a touch as conditioning a factor, but obviously the players under this heat and with the tension they feel, Waller have to start slowing down a little bit at this point.
Humanly, it's impossible to play 90 minutes at the same pace in this kind of heat, so we have to expect some physical fitness showing here. But still, you can see both teams are well fit. They believe in fitness, their coaches do, and it's a great credit to both coaches and these two teams playing a great game in this kind of heat.
There's Renshaw. Far side, Ilya Mitic. Up the slot to Mohamed Atay, playing to Rote. And Dunleavy goes high up over Rote, breaks up the play. There's Moffat to Atay. He'll get a drive on the net. Blocked by Trevis. Atay was looking for a hand. He was looking for it again. That's why he raised his arms, claiming Derek Travis touched that one with his arms, but no whistle. There's O'Neill. And now let's hear Derek Travis, the captain of the Adams.
I'd just like to thank everybody, especially these supporters of ours, on behalf of the players and staff of the Adams. And the staff, by that I mean from Tom McCloskey right the way through to the office staff. They have been tremendous throughout the year. The support has been superb. I wish that we could get amongst them and say thank you personally. But from the players, thanks very, very much indeed.
Derek Travis saying thanks to Philadelphia for their experience here in the North American Soccer League and your support of this club throughout a brilliant season.
Gene, we just had a great play here. Barry Bardo pushing the ball to Roy Evans, and Roy making a great move on Mike Renshaw and being tripped. So we got a direct kick here by the Philadelphia Adams from about 20 yards out.
Waller, people might wonder why the defensemen are coming out so far, why they don't pack the goal a little more.
Gene, this is to cut off the angle and also give some support to the keeper, setting up a wall to prevent a score.
Good shot there, so they left it into the goal. Going up for the head kick, he scores!
Gene, the Tornadoes kicked it into their own net. The Tornadoes kicked it into their A self-scored goal by Johnny Best. Mistake, he wanted to clear, and they put it in the upper corner. And this often happens in the championship game.
There it is, the break that they've been waiting for. And the Adams lead it 1-0 with 25 minutes and 31 seconds remaining. You saw it as the direct free was cleared in by Evans from this side and shot in accidentally into the net by John Best. And 1-0. And now Dallas can no longer play defensively. And this is going to be a wing-ding last 25 minutes. They must now score 2 goals tonight to win it. The Adams have theirs, and let's see how well the best defensive team in the North American Soccer League can protect that lead.
Gene, in 1968, a similar situation occurred in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Wanderers were playing against the Washington Whips, and the defender in overtime did the same kind of a play. So it's expected. It does happen in professional soccer. Unfortunately for Johnny Best, but certainly a great thing for the Adams because they've applied a lot of pressure in the last 10 minutes.
I would gather my soccer rules, since Evans was the last to touch it, that he'll get credit for that goal. There's Blumfield trying to play back to O'Neill. Broken off. It's cleared away from Travis. And Smith, pressured along the near side by Ilya Mitic, kicks it off the touchline to Mohamed Atay. Cleared away by Bob Smith upfield.
And this again proves a point, Gene. Miller adjusting his team, saying, yes, let's go back to Roy Evans, let's play to that left side, and this is how the score came about. First he penetrated, got tripped, took the direct kick, and then Johnny Best unfortunately stuck it against his own team.
Carl Miner called for a shove, and we'll have a direct free.
The only thing now, Gene, let's hope that the Adams do not fall back and play defense, because this also could be dangerous. They must come out and still play the same way they did the first 60 minutes.
Yeah, that's funny in all sports, whether it's hockey or basketball. When you get the lead, you can't sit back. You've got to play your normal game, because as soon as you disrupt that, you change the flow that has given you that lead.
Psychologically, it upsets the entire team. The goalkeeper does not know he's screened because there's too many defenders, so it's a dangerous situation. So hopefully the Adams are wise enough to play it at the same style as they did the first 65 minutes.
We haven't received official notification here, but I would assume Roy Evans would get that goal since he was the last Adam to touch, or Walter, perhaps it would be awarded to the closest Adam to John Best, who deflected it into his own net.
This is a touchy situation. We really don't know because actually if it's a deflection of a defender, yes, he gets the credit. However, here, Johnny Best clearly stuck in the net.
Watch it! And Rigby got his foot in it. And then as Ridley tried to play it, it was blocked off again by the Adams.
And we have a substitution here, Gene. Manny Shellshide is in the game replacing Charlie Ducilli. And a very smart move by Coach Miller because Manny has the ability to hold the ball and slow down the pace.
All right, watch Startzel. Playing through there. Straub, he's in! He shoots! Oh! And Cooper was off balance and managed to block the play.
A great play by Stanley Startzel, pushing the ball through, and a little more power by Billy Straub, who had his second score, and that is with an up 2-0.
Of course, the scoring opportunities can come more now to the Adams as Dallas has to gamble and open it up, and that leaves the opportunities free. Travis playing back to Bob Rigby. 23 minutes remaining in regulation play. Adams 1. Tornado, no score.
Gene, that goal has brought Adams back to life. They are now playing with a lot of confidence and moving into space to receive the ball, and certainly that goal always inspires players. So a great thing here, and let's hope that the Adams continue to play this way.
That ball is not saved by Roy Evans along the near touchline, so it will be Mike Renshaw wearing number 11. Two-hand overhead toss. Back there to Bobby Moffett, lifting it deep down into the goal area. Bob Smith goes way up to clear it back to midfield to Evans. Evans to the far wing, battling for it and taking it away beautifully is Carl Miner. Turner is on his back, but Miner shoves back to Startzel, just inside midfield along the far wing. There's O'Neill. O'Neill looks, he's got Straub in the middle. But Moffett cuts across to head it, back to Miner. Loops it in on the net. Hoover shot, the puck is loose. Not the puck, but the ball. It's a little hockey came in there.
Come on, Gene, stay in the game. This is soccer, not hockey.
Well, I only said it once in the Montreal game. Watch it now. That's Goot. Medic playing through. Medic trying to get inside. Screened off beautifully, and it rolls over the end line.
Now we get a trip here. Midic trip Barry Bardo, and the Adams get the ball.
The score, Adams 1, Tornado no score, and we'll return to action in just 30 seconds.
Remember I said clock 160. I want to do that. Enjoying the game? How's the game going? Oh, fine. One of the guys got me in the chat.
Back at Texas Stadium, we have 21 minutes, 19 seconds remaining in regulation play. Adams won on a deflection goal, unofficially credited to Roy Evans here in the second half. 21 minutes away from the end of the game, 1-0. Don't forget the Adams will return their party tomorrow. American Flight 448 at Gate B11, Philadelphia International Airport at 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, Sunday. What a great welcome home, regardless of the outcome of this game, to have fandom there. So take Sunday afternoon off, go out for a picnic, and then be at International Airport. Gate B11, American Airlines Flight 448. Welcome this marvelous club home.
Gene, this team deserves it. They've played fantastically the entire year. They've attracted over 20,000 people to some games in Philadelphia, and they are a credit to this league. And the irony of the whole thing, they just started. This is their first year, and just think, possibly a national championship.
We might add, Waller, just to paraphrase, 2 letters, in, international championship. As a sideline play, a touchline, and since we're involved in North America, we can have 2 countries, Waller.
Gene, I think you're still back with hockey. Let's get together. We're playing soccer in Dallas Stadium.
Yeah, but they're going to win a 2 Nation League. There's a play in on Cooper. And he makes the save and quickly upfield. And Walter, much to their credit, the Adams are not sitting back in a cocoon. They're taking the play and playing their steady game. I'm sure that's what Al Miller is letting them know somewhere, to stay at your regular game.
They have to, and they're doing so, and it's a fine job at this time.
Here's Road controlling the ball, playing to an open wing, no one there, and it's cleared out by Dunleavy. I would kind of think at this point, Waller, that Road must be frustrated a bit because Dunleavy's just played him magnificently this evening.
Road is a typical player that Chris is exposed to in England, and certainly he has mastered him the entire evening, and if he's able to do it for another 19 minutes, then the Philadelphia Adams are the new national champions in the NASL.
All right, the toss in, that's Ilya Mitic, marked by Barry Bardo. Playing back as he has nowhere to go along the near side. Lifted off to Bobby Moffett. Trapped, challenged in there by Evans. Placed to the open wing, that's Mohamed Atay. He's going to try to break through. Bob Smith on him. Blocked, make that Dunleavy, I believe.
No, it's Georgie O'Neill. Again, he's such a player all over the field that sometimes you confuse yourself because he plays defense, attack, and even tries to score.
Watch it. That's Startzel. And as Bloomfield tried to set up the shot, Startzel, and a wise play, instead of fooling with it in that position, just got rid of it.
This is not a bad idea. Clear the ball, reorganize your defense, and see what's happening. Calm the pace and come out of it.
We have 18 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in regulation play, 1-0 Adams. There's a shot off a deflection by Ridley, and a dangerous shot perhaps, but he didn't have much angle on the net.
Very poor angle, and certainly hit it poorly also over the top.
We are now with the score 1-0 Adams, 18 minutes left. We're going to pause for just 10 seconds. Back to live action. Minor is called for holding, and it will be a direct free played by Hall, upfield number 5, with 17:40 remaining in the second half regulation play. Adams on a deflected goal off the Tornado, credited unofficially to Roy Evans, lead at 1-0. Ridley was in close, but sure-footed Derek Travis just cleared it out to midfield. And
Gene, it's just remarkable how this team has adjusted in 1 week. Billy Straub and Charlie DeCilli replacing 2 great getters from England, Proven and Fried, and they did a fantastic job. And their attack is just as smooth and rhythmic as it has been the last 16 games.
Well, DeCilli was right when he had him on earlier on that little interview. He said it's the team. They play as a unit, and I will be part of that unit. Watch it now. Trouble. There's a shot deflected in front. They try to kick it back. A shot blocked again. Atay winding up, and it's deflected off to the near side. Trying to keep it in, since it will be a Tornado play-in if it goes off the touchline. Is Evans, and he does, and then rolls it back to Bob Rigby.
Gee, now we have this mistake. We have the Adams coming back and falling back to their 18-yard area. It's very dangerous. They got to come out and play at midfield and attack. Put pressure on them because the best defense is an attack.
Because when you bunch up like that, you don't seem to have anybody to play the ball to.
Not only play the ball, but Bob Rigby screen, and then he has problems trying to win balls or collect balls when the shots are taken at him.
And as you saw there, you get several deflections, and you don't know which way the ball is going. You wanted some open view in there. Travis beats Rote to the ball. Off to Manfred Schellscheit. The only substitution in the game for the Adams. Picked off on the far side by John Best. Bardo with a great head. Up to Schellscheit.
Manny's a very fine tactician in the middle of the field. He has the calmness and the experience to hold the ball, delay things, look around, and then able to send the ball through. And not only that, but he also still has a dry shirt.
There's Straub in on the net, blocked off by Hall and played upfield, but Bardo, chest trap again. And you youngsters are watching. If you want to know how to chest trap, just watch Barry Bardo. Throw to Straub. He was inside, but had his back to the play or the net. Now they play into Hall, and Hall just slides to Cooper as the clock shows 15:40 remaining in the second half. Adams won, and Tornado no score, and we'll just pause for 30 seconds. On here at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. 1-0 Adams, 14:55 remaining in regulation play. O'Neill taken off by Hall, number 5. Feeds on the far side to Turner. Hall goes down and twisted his knee, it appears. He's in pain. That's Barry Bardo, number 2.
Gene, this is a time where with 10 minutes remaining, no, 14 minutes remaining, you'll find a lot of players getting cramps because of perspiring so often, losing a lot of salt in their body. And so we see like Hall now is, I believe he has cramps in his calf, and we had over there Roy Evans just a few minutes ago, a similar situation.
We have a timeout again. I think, Walter, a beautifully officiated game, and we'd like to give credit to the linesman Howard Neal from St. Louis, Bill Wirtz from Milwaukee, and a great job by Toronto based referee who's out there now, and you see him in that pile at center field, is Bill Gallagher. Super job.
Bill Gallagher and I, we used to play against each other in Toronto, and then just before the game, he somewhat recognized me. He said, "Oh, you must have been the guy I was kicking all the time." And he sure did when he played.
In that situation over there, there is some Gatorade, if I can mention that, by Bobby Moffett, in a great way, as Walter said, to try to restore salt and energy to the body that's just drained out in the perspiration of the play here at Texas Stadium. 105 throughout the day. We're getting a cool breeze on the second level here in our booth at our backs, but on the field, which is below ground level, it's terribly warm, and the tartan turf, of course, absorbs more heat. Play is on. Evans looping it in. There's Schellscheit. Ball beats him to it. Clears off to the far side and in control of Turner.
The difference here in this game, if we would just say a total look, has been at midfield. Georgie O'Neill and Barry Bardo dominating the midfield completely, and the weakness of Tornado is that both midfielders, Bloomfield and Roy Turner, are basically defensive midfielders. They don't like to build attacks, or they don't have that ability. So here we find Georgie O'Neill doing extra work by building attacks, and this is why we find that Adams have many more shots at goal and had greater chances to score.
I think we have an offside against Billy Straub, and we're going to have a play-in by the Tornadoes. You notice they're walking upfield now, Walter. Either they're trying to conserve what energy they have remaining, or both clubs are starting to reach that point of exhaustion.
Gene, it's just beyond me that they have been able to go at such a rate to this time. It just shows again that both teams are so physically prepared. They're able to go in any kind of a situation.
Well, it's been a championship game, and meriting every letter of the word championship, Walter. Teams have played beautifully.
This is now where the home advantage comes into play. The fans are starting to get the players' psyched, trying to create a score, and this could be problems.
There was a shot that hit the post. A shot, another one. Great save by Bob Rigby as the shot from the far side by Ilya Mitic hit the post, and let's watch that one again.
Bob Rigby just proved himself that he's the best goalkeeper in the league. Ladies and gentlemen, he was down on the ground on a shot that hit the post, up on his feet, and a shot came back again and able to collect it. It's just a fantastic save.
And I said they were walking upfield and perhaps fatigued now. This is where calling upon that extra reserve with 12 minutes remaining regulation play, and the Adams leading 1-0.
This is where the players operate without oxygen, and they just go in their mental ability to play and psychologically hanging in there, and Tornado, of course, trying to tie it up, and it's Adams trying to prevent the score.
Pressure now as the fans start rising on the far side, looped in, and they're going to let it go over the end line. But I think the reason here, of course, is the little bit of blow that you get while you slowly set that ball up, Walter.
You got to find all kinds of ways now to collect some air.
And with the score, Adams 1, Tornado nothing. 11 minutes remaining in the game. We'll pause for this.
You were lucky there, Walter. If the shot had him beaten.
Back live at Texas Stadium. 11 minutes remaining. 1-0 Adams. Dunleavy playing back to Derek Travis. He lets it roll clear into the 18-yard area where that goalkeeper can pick up the ball and make the play.
Gene, the Adams now are playing with a lot of composure. This shows a sign of great coaching. These players are now calm. They're holding the ball. They're playing and not giving up the ball. And certainly if they hold the ball, then the other team cannot score. And this is a great strategy by the coach, and you got to give a lot of credit again to Al Muller.
Quest elbow, but this is very much like running the ground plays and trying to run out the clock on your downs, or just dumping the puck in, or freezing the ball in basketball.
Very true, but certainly much more difficult to do it in soccer because it's so much more demanding doing it with the feet.
And as Waller said, the home crowd here giving their club a little bit of the adrenaline, and of course the adrenaline that comes with desperation, knowing you must score.
Yeah, this is what we call reserve adrenaline, and you find it someplace it's not around, but immaculately it comes into your system, that extra drive to tie it up.
Direct free. Here's a Tay, he fakes, now it's Bloomfield, and it's blocked in the midsection by O'Neill. Cleared into the goal area, knocked out away from Ilya Vidic. Startful racing for it, he's knocked down, and falls on the ball, and Bill Gallagher made no call.
Yes,
and
he did. Yes, he did.
I was looking for a push against Vidic from behind, and it was made.
Yeah, it was a very bad play by Medic. He should have never done that. Of course, now he's looking to, he's a bit older and a bit tired, and now he's looking for extra ways to stop players. And that was a real direct hit on Stanley Starcher, but he took it well.
9:35 remaining in regulation play in the second half. 1-0 Adams. Over on the far side, that's Hall, and 17, Billy Straub. Throw in by Tornado. There's Renshaw going against Startzel. Picked up by Bardo, gets it to Ridley. Ridley playing through, but too far for Renshaw, and there's Derek Travis just lifting it beautifully.
Amazing. That man has so much composure, the experience of his football in England. Here he's just a master in the defense now. You might call him a policeman, call him a sweeper, but he does everything so well in that defense.
There's a man in, Straub, and it looked dangerous, but not, as the
offside
Tornado defense was upfield, and that was the offside again. When the ball is behind you, you must have two men between you and the goaltender, two defenders, and in that case, Straub is by himself in the violation. 8:50 remaining, and we'll keep you very close to the clock, which is unofficial, and we may have some running time after the 000s appear on the scoreboard to our right.
And now, Gene, you can see the Adams are marking very tight. They're breathing in the opponent's back. They're marking so tight, not allowing any freedom for these players to turn and take shots at goal, and this is the way to do it.
All right, we've got a substitution. Luis Jurasi is coming into the game for the first time. He's a Brazilian benefit who played for Sao Paulo. He played in Mexico in '63, an 18-year soccer pro. He lives in Dallas year-round after coming to Texas as a member of the now-defunct Houston Stars. Jurasi, or Jurasi, if you will.
Jurasi is a very dangerous player. He's a very keen player, has played in Brazil, has a lot of experience, so they have to watch him extra carefully because he has the ability to play in the 18, where it's very difficult.
Will Travis let it roll off the end line, and does. Boy, what a tower of strength back there.
But I can't get over these fans. They back this team, Tornado team, to no end. They're still cheering and backing them, hoping that they can equalize this game.
We've got 8:16 remaining, and again, very slowly putting that ball into play. No hurry at all. Clock is with the Adams, and I would think right now that cliche, the clock runs very slow for the Adams, and it seems to run off like mercury as far as the Tornadoes are concerned.
There you go, Gene, with that hockey stuff.
All right. There is Renshaw. Bardo staying with him, right on his shoulder. Not letting him operating room. Staying right with him. And finally, Bardo rips it off that touchline, and we're going to have a quick throw in by Gerasi.
Gene, it's unbelievable. If we were to single out any player on the Adams, and you got to say that all 11 have been outstanding, but Georgie O'Neill and Barry Bardo, the work rate they have done this evening is just fantastic.
Watch it now. Big play. Blocked off. Almost armed by Shellside. Almost in there. He tried to protect it. You see, very, very close, and that would have been a penalty shot.
If he would have moved his arm away from his body, then no question penalty shot. But since the ball played his hand, and there's no danger, and it's a legal play.
Lifting in past Travis, and he plays it off to the open wing. Racing for it is Moffitt. Bardo going in there, and it goes off the touchline, and will be quickly tossed in by Moffitt to waste no time. The Gerasi playing it off to the open wing on the far side. Racing for it is Kyle Rote. Dunleavy right on his back. Rote deflects it, and it will be a toss in by the Tornado to Renshaw. 6:45 remaining in regulation play. Right into the goal area. Smith heads it away. Gerasi to Sartzel. We're going to have a violation. And
handball here by Gerasi. And this is a great situation for Philadelphia to come out of their defense.
Adams 1, Tornado nothing. 6.5 minutes remaining in regulation play, and we'll pause for this. Before I get nervous, I hate this. We'll not go on the field, I assume, huh? We got 6 minutes. We'll be very close to 11. They're really tired. Back at Texas Stadium, less than 6 minutes remaining in regulation play. Adams lead it 1-0 on a deflected goal off the foot of Roy Evans unofficially. Ball at midfield. That's Bobby Moffitt playing up the middle, challenged by Straub. Now gives off to Uris. And
Gene, this is it. Billy Straub just racing 40 yards from his attack to challenge that player, and this is why the Adams have been so successful. Here's a player with minutes to go, dead tired, but still putting in that effort.
There's O'Neill. O'Neill gets inside his man, but we're going to have a corner kick. No,
Gene, I think it's a trip. It's a trip by Ron Hall, and Georgie O'Neill is going to take a direct free kick. And again, a good situation for the Adams maybe to get a second score.
All right, to Evans. Lifts it through in the goal mouth. A header! Goal! There it is! Billy Straub! Billy Straub with a fantastic goal! Roy Evans again. Watch the replay. Back in live action. An extraordinary goal by Billy Straub, who ironically, or aproposly, or histrionically, scored a goal, the second goal that beat Dallas in Montreal when he was an Olympic, may have just given the Philadelphia Adams the North American Soccer League Championship. It's 2-0 and the clock running, showing 4:20 left. Evans feeding that ball to Straub with a perfect header.
Gene, I'm willing to bet my house now. There's no way the Tornado is going to come back. We are the champions, NASL champions 1973. So now we have two great championship teams in Philadelphia, the amateur champs, Philadelphia and the Adams. And here again, Billy Straub, a great player in the defense for University of Pennsylvania, has come into this game and shown his confidence that he can do it. A fantastic feat by a young player.
Wasn't that a brilliant head? And I'll tell you, who would be most thrilled? More thrilled than anyone.
Let me guess. How about if we say Friat?
Oh, indeed.
How about he watching Billy Straub doing the same kind of act that Friat has ably done for the last 20 games for the Adams? A fantastic deal here.
I'm going to tell you something, Walter. I talked to Derek early in the week, and I said, what do you think? He says, Gene, let's watch the play now. Into the goal mouth area. Headed out. There's Startzel, and he wisely heads it into the far corner. Going for it is Dunleavy to save. Tremendous effort by Chris Dunleavy. Plays past Urasi and clears it upfield. Derek Travis said to me very determinedly, he says, Gene, in that accent, he says, there's no way we're going to call Jimmy and Andy Saturday night from Texas and tell them that we didn't give it to them.
Gene, there's no need for that. They had two great replacements who capably did the job as they proved it this evening. And again, as we reinforced our statement, the adjustment going to Roy Evans, who was responsible for both goals, having a lot of freedom on the left side and a very capable attacking defender, has done a fantastic job here ably setting up both goals.
The largest crowd in Dallas league history, 18,824 are here. 247, Walter.
Gene, this crowd has witnessed a game by 22 human beings playing under 100-degree temperature. The fitness, unbelievable. So they got their money's worth, and they saw one great goal by Billy Straub.
All right, upfield with the ball is Hall. 2.5 minutes remaining in the game. Evans with the ball. Hall is down, and he's had his troubles, as you mentioned, with cramps in the last 10 minutes, and he's been down 3 or 4 times. O'Neill.
Look at this!
There's Straub! Tries to center, as he had the Minor in front of the net. Oh, haven't they played well? Ducilli and Straub.
Gene, that first goal made a difference. They got the confidence and composure, and collectively working the ball with precision. Manny Shellshide dominating midfield as he replaced Charlie Ducilli, and the second goal was very evident by their ability to move the ball.
Now we've got a brief timeout here, and again the Gatorade. With that number 10 is Ilya Vidic, and down in the field in pain is young Dick Hall, 5'9", 6'5".
Gene, if we watch this game, if you recall, Dallas playing the Dallas Tornado playing Philadelphia Adams on the opening game when Philadelphia had 22,000 fans watching that opener, you say to yourself, will these two teams ever come here and fight for a national championship? And certainly an unbelievable feat. Al Miller must be now thinking through his mind. I recall talking to him in March when he went to England to get some players to organize this team, and only having 6 weeks to do it, it just proves a point that he's a fantastic coach, getting the right players and putting American players into the system. 5 starting players in this lineup today prove that we have the players now in the NASL that can do it.
Shot 16-12 for the Adams. The saves 10-6 on Dallas. The foul 17 Adams, 10 Dallas. The offsides just 2-1. There's a header, just missed on the centering pass by O'Neill.
And again, guess who was in that penalty area? Roy Evans.
Super. 152 away from a championship in their first year, and to my knowledge, the first expansion team ever to win a title in its first year in an established league.
Gene, what do you think McCloskey, Mr. McCloskey and Bob Ellinger are thinking? First year, not really knowledgeable about this game, get themselves together and come out with a national championship.
Incredible. Of course, now you can say with a smile, what do you do for toppers next year?
I'll tell you, that'll be something to see.
What a marvelous rapport this club has had, and we've talked about that so often through the year, and the papers have mentioned it, and they just carried through, and the determination. It's a marvelous, emotional and dramatic thing that's culminating here in about a minute.
Gene, I don't know if any team in the history of soccer lost 2 of its best attacking forwards and replaces them with 2 other forwards, and they played just as well, and to win a national championship under fantastic pressure away from home. These 2 youngsters, Charlie Ducilli and Billy Straub, going in there and just doing a remarkable job.
There's Ridley. In on the goal. Rigby is covered by Smith with Vidic in there. The clock shows unofficially 40 seconds remaining in the game. Adams 2, goals by Straub and Evans. Evans unassisted, Straub from Evans on the pass, set up by O'Neill. That's Bloomfield, and we'll count down. Again, it's unofficial as we've had timeout for injury, so the clock may run out and we still may have time. But it appears, as Walter said, this game is in the bag.
Just a matter of time now. Blowing that final whistle by Gallagher, the referee from Toronto, and Philadelphia Adams, the new champions of the NASL.
That's minor. 7 seconds, but we're going to say again that time is unofficial. Counting the time down here. I'd love to be in the Veterans Stadium with that crowd counting down in this situation. And there it is!
There it is!
The game is over. The final score, the new North American Soccer League champion, Philadelphia Adams 2, and the Dallas Tornado 0. And Walt and I will be back in just a minute with the final wrap-up. Woohoo!
So the Philadelphia Adams, in their first year in the North American Soccer League, won the title with a 2-0 victory over the Dallas Tornado. This is Soccer Rewind. I'm Ken Tomash, joined once again to wrap things up by historian Steve Holroyd. Steve, let's talk about the goals first. The first one, definitely not a thing of beauty.
It was not. At least that's what we've been told, because the feed didn't quite capture it. But it was an own goal. Own goals were never pretty. But Roy Evans, who was the outside back for the Adams match, he was making a lot of runs. He'd been sending dangerous balls into the box throughout the match. And in this particular case, I was reading a contemporary write-up that described it. The ball dipped like a Steve Carlton slider. And John Best, who himself had a Philadelphia connection, having played with the Philadelphia Spartans in 1967, otherwise a solid defender, did what defenders do from time to time, overextend themselves to try to make a play, and instead knock the ball into the net. It happens, right? But the second goal was almost a repeat, except this time Billy Straub got on the end of the ball instead of an own goal, and it wasn't pretty, but it was effective. It redirected the ball, put it in the back of the net, and that's all that matters.
And I think Ron Newman had to be a little disappointed with what he got out of his side, but Philadelphia obviously had something to do with that. You mentioned the second goal. I thought that was really pretty. We didn't get a great look at it. Maybe we'll find some other footage that is a better look at it, but I was amazed at how quickly that free kick was taken, where nowadays a foul that would happen there in the attacking zone would take a minute or more as they set things up and talked about it and maybe ran a set play, but the Adams just went right to it, and maybe that was part of the deal as well, and Kenny Cooper was not able to get there. Now, an expansion team winning the league, that's noteworthy, though to be fair, the league itself was less than 10 years old at that time. But how did Philadelphia's success that first year change the paradigm in the NASL and lead to its growth? Because it would grow exponentially after this game.
It would. I mean, as you know, when Major League Pro Soccer returned in '67, it involved a lot of men with money hoping to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. That didn't happen for reasons that we can spend hours talking about, but we won't. But by 1973, the league had turned the corner. Warner Communications had purchased a New York franchise. They invested in the league. But this generated a lot of excitement because the Adams were what the league had been hoping for from the very start, in that it was a team that featured contributions from Americans, and of course, more than mere contributions, it won a title. And it captured the imagination of the fans. As you noted at the outset, the team averaged over 11,000 a game, which I think it was almost twice what the league average was. It had drawn over 20,000 to the opener. In fairness, a lot of it was paper tickets, but the enthusiasm was legit. And so the league finally had an example of here's how you can be successful. Grassroots, reaching out to youth soccer clubs, getting them out, putting a team on the field that reflected the local community, had a lot of Philadelphia players. I think it re-energized those people with money who wanted to, again, invest in the next big thing, but now saw, hey, maybe it is the sport of the future again. And so you saw in 1974 people willing to open up their wallets, and you had the West Coast expansion. You had teams returning to Boston and some other, not yet Chicago. I think Chicago was 75, but you saw, the traditional East Coast big markets wanting to get back involved. And that was because the Adams were seen as the perfect success story.
Is it outrageous to say that had the Adams flopped out of the gate, that we might not have seen a Seattle Sounders or a San Jose Earthquakes or a Tampa Bay Rowdies or even pro indoor soccer, because the Adams were at ground zero of that the next January when they played the team from the Soviets, and Earl Foreman said, I have an idea. And we went from there. Is that outrageous to say that had the Adams flopped, we might not see some of those things that we see today?
No, I think it's correct. I think ultimately the NASL would have survived and it would have been that slower growth. But I think the seeing expansion occurring when it did, but more important, while it wasn't the same supporter culture we see today, again, what the West Coast took from the Adams experience was getting the fans more involved. And so you had Crazy George in San Jose, you had the supporters groups in Seattle and in Vancouver, and then later in Portland, which you didn't see with the East Coast teams, you didn't see with the original teams. A lot of that was driven by the Adams, and without the Adams creating that template, not that the template was fully followed, which is was a big part of why the Adams wound up dying the way they did, but the Adams finally gave a blueprint that worked, as opposed to previous blueprints where form a team, hire some guys from what's your largest immigrant community, sign a few players from that country, they'll come out and watch. That didn't work. Someone finally came up with a blueprint that did, and I think without that, we wouldn't have seen the growth as quickly as we did. And of course, we probably wouldn't have seen Pelé because it would have been too old to bring him over.
You're right. You mentioned the demise of the Adams. Obviously, they had the amazing success right out of the gate, but they never made the playoffs again. And within 3 years, they were gone. What went wrong?
Everything, both macro and micro. On a league level, it was great that they were successful, and other teams wanted to be successful, but no one followed the Adams model by playing Americans. These other teams, like in 1974, the champions were another expansion team, the Los Angeles Aztecs, not an American on the squad, I don't think. They had Doug McMillan, he was naturalized. A lot of Mexican, again, trying to appeal to their fan base in Los Angeles, but no Americans. You did not see an explosion of American players. The Adams, for their part, Al Miller stuck with Americans, and they just weren't good enough as the league grew and progressed. And certainly in 75, with Pele's arrival, everyone upped their game. The Adams never really caught up with that. The Adams also had a problem with internally. McCloskey was losing a lot of money in the construction industry. He had overextended himself. He then, as you noted, won the Tampa Bay franchise in the NFL, but had to make payments on that. And then ultimately the NFL ordered him, you have to get rid of the NASL franchise. At the time, they did not want cross ownership. It wound up being the subject of another lawsuit by the NASL antitrust suit. But McCloskey had to stop putting money into the team and also had to sell the team. So, and the team itself was falling apart. Al Miller went from being coach to coach and GM and was given the instruction, cut the budget. So the players that loved playing for him now hated playing for him. It was just a problem across the board. And while the team was beloved in the city in 73 because it won a title, it helped that at the time, no one in Philadelphia was winning titles. All the teams were awful. Well, not the Adams' fault, but in 73, 74, the Flyers finally came out of nowhere and became the first expansion team to win the Stanley Cup. And all that love the Adams had transferred to the Flyers. And around that time, the Phillies started getting a little better, and the Eagles started getting a little better. And the Adams were just pushed off the sports pages. They never really had much of a TV presence. They were easy to forget. And so it was what should have been the beginning of something, the beginning of the true Americanization of soccer, and something we'd be talking about as a cornerstone franchise to even today, wound up instead just being a little more than a fad.
And what people may not realize, looking back now with the benefit of hindsight, is that while 73 was a good time to start maybe that team, that economic conditions changed drastically in this country right about that time. The OPEC oil embargo shot gas prices through the roof. Even though that only lasted for 6 or 7 months, it still had a long-lasting effect on the economy. We went into recession. We had high inflation. A lot of people struggled. McCloskey, as you mentioned, his construction business struggled. The Philadelphia sporting environment changed, as you said. A guy named Julius Erving came to town. All of these things kind of sucked some of the air out of the room. They sold. He sold to a conglomerate from Guadalajara. There were largely Mexican players in the 1976 team. That didn't go over well at all in Philadelphia, and that was the end of the Adams. But not the end of soccer in Philadelphia. You got the Fury. We'll have a Fury game on later on this channel. 2 indoor teams: the Fever that you mentioned, the Kicks, which was a long time mainstay indoors, and now obviously the Union, which has been around about 15 years. So more than a half century on from this game, where does Philadelphia fit in kind of American soccer culture? Not only the last 50 years, but obviously, you can go way back before that. You can go back, 100 years plus. Where's Philly sit?
I think Philly should be recognized as America's soccer city. St. Louis generally gets that title, and not without reason. They've produced that city's produced a number of great American-born players. But St. Louis's reputation is based primarily on its college success. Philadelphia was a city that had professional success. Philadelphia teams dominated the second version of the American Soccer League from 83 to, until about 73, which is when the Adams came in and Philly was major league at that point. Didn't bother with the ASL much anymore. But throughout the 40s, 60s, with the Philadelphia Nationals, Philadelphia Americans, Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals, they won Open Cups, they won ASL titles, and did it with American players. I mean, the 1950 World Cup team everyone loves to talk about because it upset England. Everyone talks about St. Louis. Frank Borghi was in goal and this and that. But there are a number of American players, Philadelphia-born players on that team. So I think it deserves to be remembered as if not the soccer city in the United States, certainly a sister city with St. Louis. And the Adams remain remembered. I mean, if you talk even 14 years on with the Union still being in existence, if you're on the street and say Philadelphia Adams, people know exactly what you're talking about. If you say Philadelphia Spartans, they have no idea. If you mention Philadelphia Fury, maybe they'll remember, maybe they won't. But the Adams will remember because they had that win. You touched on it briefly. They helped bring indoor soccer about. They played the Russians at a time when it was very sexy to play the Russians because, you had the Cold War going on and everything else. And Ed Tepper was in the audience looking for AstroTurf for his box lacrosse team, and then decided, hey, I may have an idea for we can make a league out of this. The Adams figured prominently in the Fury. A lot of players, a lot of cross-pollination there. And with the Fever had a tremendous first year in indoor soccer, largely following the Adams model of bringing local kids in and let them play. It's Philadelphia should have a greater presence, but I say without my usual snark or whininess, neither MLS nor the soccer powers that be really care much about what happened prior to MLS. So we don't talk about it anywhere near as much as we should. But I think the Adams are a big part of why Philadelphia remains a major part of American soccer history.
Well, that's one of the things we look to rectify on this channel is that we can talk about those things that happened before MLS. Yeah, we'll touch on some of the early days of MLS. MLS 1.0 was fun, but the other thing we want to try to do is some more obscure things. This was obviously a big match, but there are a lot of things to learn about American soccer through the obscure games and obscure players, just as much as you know about Pelé and you know about Beckenbauer and you know about all the other stars that came over. But we're going to try to do some deep cuts, as they said, if this was a music podcast. So Steve Holroyd, soccer aficionado, historian, labor lawyer, polymath, you name it, Philadelphian. If I ever start a Cricket Rewind channel, I'll definitely have you on. And I may tap you again for this one if you're onto it. Thank you very much.
Always up to it. Thanks for having me. Always happy to talk American soccer history.
All right. Here's a spoiler alert. I'm not going to do Cricket Rewind. But anyway, thanks to Steve Holroyd. Thanks to you for watching. That is the first episode. Drop a comment below. Like and subscribe if you think that this is a channel that might be for you. Email us at rewind@ken.com. Let us know if you have a favorite historic match that you want us to take a look at. Maybe somebody we should talk to talk about that match or something obscure. The more obscure, the better. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, our fans, Tim. McCloskey.